Welcome to writingalong.com. This episode is all about good writing slash start writing. Start writing now. Turn off this video and you should go write. I mean, I wish I could tell you that, and I wish you'd take. If you did that, I wouldn't care. I would not care. I'd lose on the YouTube metrics, on the podcast metrics, wherever you're listening to this. Yeah, I'd lose some engagement. I don't care. I want you to start writing, and I want you to start writing good. I want you to start writing well, because that's what this is all about. That's what writingalong.com was created for. Not just for me. Sure, I love getting on camera and talking about writing. I love. Maybe I can monetize the audience one day, right? I can sell you guys a cool course, just teaching something that I know about, something more practical, more not exactly like this, but I want to give away as much as I can for free, first and foremost, and this is all part of it. So start writing. What's getting in the way? Why aren't you doing it? What are you thinking? Like, what are you doing just thinking about it? I'm not just here to attack you. If you feel like you're just put on the spot right now, I want to ask you so you know for yourself, what is that thing, that elusive feeling that prevents you from actually doing it? You can talk about writing with your friends or with me all you want, but I'm here to get you onto the page, and I want you to realize there can be 100 things holding you back. 100 days of writing advice. This one is pretty self-aware, but there's 99 episodes all about very specific things that can stop you. They all include it. Their titles don't always imply that, but you got to realize good writing as a whole is not that hard. It's respecting the reader. It's acknowledging that the reader exists, that there's someone on the other side, that you're writing for a purpose, and that stuff all comes after. Just always keep in mind this: write with respect for the reader. Give them an experience that you want them to have, that you would want to have yourself. That's what makes your writing unique. What your expectations are of writing is what you're going to create. Simple as that. So the expectations, the whatever you want to call the marker of what you would consider good writing, that's what you're going to make. So set up for yourself right now. What do you think good writing is? For me, it's I understand. I know what they're saying. I know what's happening, and the writer isn't doing all these fancy tricks that are trying to, evade the point. They're trying to hide the fact that they don't really have anything to write about. Like that, they do. They probably do have something to write about, but they're just being, crafty about it. And that's not where you want to. That's not what I like is writing. I love writing that's authentic, that's raw, that comes from the person. I don't mean unedited. I mean, it could be edited after the fact. But I like writing that stands out, that's unique, that says something about the world, even without trying, especially without trying. And I like that it doesn't always have to be a philosophical treatise on this and that, on morality and ethics, but it implies all these things. These things are within it, underneath, between the lines, because this author, this writer, is so self-aware of themselves. They have such a huge self-knowledge, and they're preserving this kind of self-awareness through books, through essays, through letters, through any kind of expression of their thoughts and how they see things. That's good writing for me, and that's the marker I have for it. And that, again, mostly involves, it can be summed up as respect the reader, make it easy for them. Why are you going to use a word they don't know? Why are you going to throw them off for no reason? Why would you make your story harder to understand than it needs to be? In fact, the easier it is to understand, the more pleasant, the more accessible it can be, the more people it can reach to, the more you can connect with others. And that's what writing is for, right? You want to connect these stories with people around you, but you don't do that by saying, how do I connect? I got to do this, I got to plug this wire into here, I got to plug this word into there, and that's how I create a connection. No, that's not how people are living their lives. They're living their lives simply by being, and when you approach the state of being as a writer, that's where that bridge, that portal, that it's like a invisible, just connecting wire almost, just something that entangles, a rope, is something that you say, hey, I feel, and it's all center, this mass, this gravity, that's your writing. You're bringing to life these experiences in people. Think of gravity, right? If we're talking about that, you don't feel it, but I throw something, it hits the floor. I don't actually have anything I want to throw up into this. I'm not going to throw my coffee cup right now. A piece of paper fell right now. Just attracted to the bottom, center the surface. From the surface, this mass It was all pulled in. Your writing is like that too, because it's so much intention. It's so much that otherwise would not have existed if not for someone having the audacity to create it. And because of that, that's, you can call it the law of attraction, you can call it whatever you want. It creates a sphere. As a writer, you are a creator. You are making something, not just for you though, for others. Create something that people can position themselves around. Create something that people can just kind of enjoy the ride. They're riding along. They're just coming for the ride, and because of that, they're gonna have a sense of appreciation for what you said and how you said it. They're gonna remember it. They're gonna keep it with them, and that's the tradition of storytelling and writing as a whole. It's passing things down. People are writing because they don't want it to. They don't want their thoughts to die. They know they're gonna die. I mentioned this in my videos. I don't mean to just be so down. I don't think everybody who thinks about death is always all depressed and oh my gosh, everybody dies. It's such a sad world. Like, it's not just like that. I really think it's a cornerstone of how you can think that allows you to do certain things that others kind of just don't do, because you have those considerations. Your thoughts don't have to die. You will pass on. You're going to move on. Whatever your understanding of the world is, whatever happens next, you're going to go float on wherever you go. Cool. Awesome. But your thoughts and ideas, they're going to stick around here on Earth for a while longer. It's like your child. You're creating this thing that's going to live on. And because of that, you got to respect your writing as well. What are you putting out there? What do you want it to look like? Don't you just want it to be real? Don't you want it to be alive? Don't you want it to have everything it needs to walk on its own? And, it's not you. It's a child. It's not, you got to let the child go. Eventually, they're going to live their life. They're going to become the person that they're going to be. Same thing with your writing. There's a disconnect that you have to make. And it always means something to you. It's always important. But, your child might live longer than you, right? It's like that, except they're going to live longer than you. Your writing is always going to be existing as long as people are around to preserve it, as long as you do everything you can to keep it living, to keep it breathing, to keep it alive. If you print something in a book, it's going to be all right. Like, it's going to be just fine, because you got a book and you got to print it and it's in different corners of the world. How are you going to get rid of that? How is that ever going to disappear? It's not. It's just going to be a part of human life, of the human race. People's decisions in their own lives are going to be influenced by things that you said, and you're going to be living on in that sense. It's multiplying your influence. It's multiplying your thoughts. You got an active mind. I got to be very upfront with you as writers. If you have something to say, your mind is different. It's built differently, and you've got to understand that. You've got to accept that. You've got to ignore all this stuff you've heard of. Just kind of fit your mind in. Just you got to fit in. You got to just the thought process that we have. You got to have too. You don't have to. As a writer, the world may seem like you don't have to victimize yourself, but it's gonna seem sometimes like everything is just trying to normalize you. It's trying to just make you without any real meaning. You're just becoming nothingness. You're trying to get it, like there's things pulling at you, trying to absorb you into this void. But you have to keep it alive yourself as a writer, because you do have something going on up there that's unique to you. Otherwise, this wouldn't mean anything to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't go, yeah, that's true. I guess I do have something to say. Why don't I always feel that? Why don't I always think I do? Why don't I always think it has some value? But it does. It really does. And as a writer, you got to know that and recognize that and respect that as a skill. Develop it. Make it real. You're the one who is in charge of making sure that it exists, that your thoughts live on, that your ideas live on. Not because you're so special, but because those ideas are in you. They're being housed right there. They're living in you. Does that matter to you? Does that mean anything? If it does, you would treat it a little more seriously. Not everything you write about has to be serious at all. But the art of writing itself, what it can mean, come on. It's not this thing you can just slap around. It's not this thing you can just put on the shelf and say, okay, wait there. I'll get to you when I want it, when I feel like it. If you do that, it's gonna die. It's not going to be easy to get back up. And no matter where you are as a writer right now, I don't want writing to just die with you. I want it to live on. I want it to be beyond. I want you to see it from this lens, from this perspective, that it is a way to live forever, essentially. And it is, like what? I'm writing to live eternally? But obviously, who knows? The human race, who knows how long we're going to stick around? You don't know, though, what's going to happen next. You don't know what the world looks like in the future. Someone 1,000 years ago did not know what everything was going to look like now. But guess what? We're still hanging out. We're still having a great time or a bad time. Like we're existing, though. We're here. And things that we've done because of writings in the past, because of things people have said, it's impacted who we are today. You're writing, no matter what you're writing, you might just be writing a memoir or just, you can write a nonfiction books, anything you want, but your words are going to live on much longer than anyone else can, than the human body can. Writing was a solution. We used to just talk and say things, make sounds and pass them on, but it wasn't always reliable. The telephone effect, someone tells someone this, oh yeah, this and that. The next person says, oh yeah, this, it gets passed on and it's less reliable. The integrity decays. But with writing, it doesn't change. It's not changeable in and of itself unless someone edits and alters it. That's a whole other thing. If you have a lot of copies of it, it becomes even more difficult to do that. I really think writing has become this accessible in the world. It's more available. It's more possible to publish. It's more possible to get your ideas out into the world because your ideas need to get out into the world right now. It's a moment of necessity. If you're interested in writing a book, check out How to Write a Book in 30 Days at writingalong.com. It's a free guide. Send it to your inbox. And hey, I really appreciate you sticking by this episode. I didn't bring it up at the beginning, but I'm really excited about this episode because this is the 100th episode of How to Write a Book in 30 Days. And I'm talking about that, but just 100 days of writing advice in general. This is the 100th episode of it, and I'm really glad to put this out here. And we're going to be moving on to a lot more writing content, such as how to independently publish your books on your own, just all kinds of stuff, really all kinds of stuff. I can't wait. I'm excited. This is, when I'm recording this, 2020. May. Let's see what happens to writingalong.com. I really appreciate you being a part of this. All right, I'll see you around. Thanks for stopping by. As always, you can write.